Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Everyday Artist and I'm Eve, and when I recorded this video, the first part where I showed you the supplies, I thought I was recording and I wasn't. So you will use, I used the Vellum Bristol pad by Master's Touch. You can use any paper that'll hold up to markers. And I'm holding this in my hand, so I'm sorry if it's unsteady. And I used the Azure marker set in cool grays. And I used Prismacolor markers, 40% neutral gray and 30% cool gray. I used a Sharpie marker set in both ultra fine and fine points. You will need a straight edge. I used a 12-inch ruler, a metal ruler that I always keep, and you will need a pencil. I can't show you the pencil because after I filmed this video, my pencil took vacation or something. I can't find it anywhere. So again, welcome to my channel, and today we're going to do an easy instruction on both markers and on perspective. And you can use any markers you want. They don't have to be the grays, they don't have to be the Sharpies, they don't have to be Prismacolor. The lesson is in the drawing, not in using markers and stuff, but it's mostly in the perspective. So let's get to it. Let's get started. So I want the horizon line, the vanishing point, to be relatively low because my buildings are going to be higher than the horizon line. So I'm just lining up the hatch marks on either end of the ruler, taking my pencil, on either end of the paper, the hatch marks here, I'm just lining them up to get kind of sort of straight, because we're not going to see most of this. So use your pencil, lightly draw it, and decide, okay, there's going to be a street in between buildings where that's going to disappear. And I decided it's going to disappear right about there. And so we're going to see more of the building fronts on this side and less of the building fronts on that side. So I'm not going to draw the left side of the building here because it's going off the paper. And the buildings do not all have to be the same height. You can vary the heights, but I'm just drawing a line right now, a light line, and deciding how wide my buildings are going to be. I might have a smaller building in between. I haven't decided yet. I'm just randomly putting lines, and I don't want to think about it too much. I just want some kind of indication of where my buildings are going to go. And you notice I'm making the line shorter because I won't need that whole line up to the top. And I might need to draw another line right there, I'm not sure. I'm going to draw in the buildings on this side. I'm going to come closer this way because I think we'll see more of it this way. And I might only get a couple of buildings over here on this side. So I'm going to decide where my road starts down here, and we're going to draw it to that vanishing point. And I want the building, the road fairly, the road fairly wide here at the front. Sorry, I have to, the camera is blocking my arm, so. Now, here's where the building bottoms are hitting, but I want a sidewalk. So I'm gonna put one right here. You use the same vanishing point. So there's my sidewalk, but I need a little curb. And I want to put a sidewalk on this side too. So there's my curb. And I'm going to move the ruler this way. I still am using the same vanishing point, but I want to have a view of where I'm drawing so that I know where that, you know, to kind of make the sidewalk look the same. Okay, so there's my sidewalks. I have my building started. This is just one edge of the building. It's not the actual building. As you know, when you draw a cube, you have the fronts, and then you do the sides, and then you go from there, okay? So I have to decide. I think I'm just going to draw the front on one, and then the rest of these are going to be the side facing the street. So I'm putting on this closest building here, I'm going to go ahead and put, well, put that on. And then you need to draw the tops of the buildings. This is, I want this building nice and tall. So I'm going to draw the top here. But the front of the building doesn't go straight. The front of the building, I mean the building that, the part of the building that faces the sidewalk doesn't go straight. And because I drew a straight line here, I need a matching one down here. And there it is. Now this can just be like, you know, a sidewalk or a parking lot or something like that. And then this part of the building goes down to our vanishing point. And you can go ahead, and you know, it's very steep, I know that, but you can go ahead and draw those in because they're all going to have the same vanishing point. Okay? And then you can put gaps in between the buildings, have some buildings stand out a little bit further than the other one by putting another line in here. Oops, sorry. I'm moving my ruler. Okay, so I'm going to have this building stick out a little bit more than this one. And the way I do that is by drawing another straight line right here. And I know that this seems like a lot before we're going into actually, you know, drawing anything. But if you get this basic work done, then when you're, once you get used to doing it, then it's easier for you to do it without thinking about it. So this building here, this one's poking out, so I need this one. Now I feel like this building is too fat, so I'm going to put another straight line down here to make another, it'll make two buildings. And now, since I have the top and the bottom, I know exactly how long that line needs to be. So I'm going to go ahead and put a straight line here to make that building go kind of behind this one. And no. See, I'm like, wait a minute. That makes this building stick out in front of this building. Okay, we're not doing that. And whenever you make a mistake, and you will, and the second you put it on, you're like, So I want this building to come out further. So I need to make the front on this one. No, that was right, wasn't it? I'll think about it. Okay, so and so my buildings over here, they're basically lined up with right around here. So I want to kind of, I need to have, you know, decide where I want the tops. And I'm lining it up with my sidewalk line here to just try to give me a little bit of a idea where those buildings are going to go. All right. So now right now I'm just going to look at it for a minute and decide if I like where the lines are, if I like the basic drawing of that. And I feel like these buildings are too short. So I'm going to go ahead and erase this line. And you could do this by looking at a picture and deciding from there where these buildings are going to go and how deep they are and stuff like that. I am going to go ahead and put that line I drew back. And you'll find that your mind will tell you when something is not right. Now, you could put windows in all of these buildings, but for today's purposes, we're not going to. But you would put them in the same way. You would draw some straight lines. I'm going to do the pencil of it, but I'm not going to marker it in. You would put in the straight lines of where you want your windows. I drew that so lightly I can't even see it, so you're not going to be able to see it on the video. You do your straight lines. Maybe it's one massive window here or a door. And then you draw to this horizon line again. But our buildings do need doors. So we're going to very quickly decide where our door is going to be. And each door is going to be a little bit thinner than the door in front of it. Just draw it to this line and then use this to help you decide the height of the door, and just put the top on. And so anything that's upright goes straight up and down. Anything that's sideways, you're going to put to that vanishing point. And I'm just trying to make sure my ruler's straight. I'm going to put this door at the end of this building. So this line is the other line. This is a taller door than this door. On this one, I could put a straight line here. And it makes like a walkway in between these buildings. So go ahead and put in your doors. If you want to put in windows, put in your windows. Take time to do that. Pause the video while you do that. Meanwhile, I am going to erase lines that I don't need. Now, I may change my mind and put in windows because right now I'm just going to do markering in a general sense. I'm not going to fully flesh out any of the buildings. But I will give an impression of windows maybe. And of more doors. I think that's enough doors over here. You want to do this erasing. I'm erasing the horizon line from in the buildings. Oops. I erased the line I needed. And you want to put more detail in the buildings that are closer to you. And I'm not having to push very hard to erase these because one, I drew them lightly, and two, this kind of eraser just picks up the lead. So if you want to put cracks in your sidewalk to make it look more sidewalky, go ahead and do that. Now, these buildings ended up being a lot taller than these buildings. That's okay. So the first thing I'm going to get out is a cool gray marker. I'm going to do the sidewalks first. And I think I want a very light one. Now, these markers, they're marked 2, 3, and theoretically 2 is the lightest, and then 3 is just darker than that, but I find that they're not as accurate as like the Prismacolor markers in how dark they are. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this line. I'm not going to use the ruler to do this, so it will be a little wavier. If you want a really precise line, you're going to need to use a ruler, some kind of straight edge. So I'm not going to fill in this. As I said, this is going to be more like a sketch and not like a actual full-fledged drawing, because I'm just talking about that one. I'm drawing with my left hand, so okay, I should have used a straight edge. If I'm drawing with my non-dominant hand, I've got to turn this or I can't draw it. And I'll just put the mistaken parts up into the building. All right, while I have it this direction, and you notice it gets darker if I go on top of it. While I have it this direction, I'm going to go ahead and use the slightly darker one, the one that it says it's slightly darker. This is the 3. And I'm going to do the curb. Now another thing that you do for perspective is that things that are further away from you are lighter than things that are behind you. I mean, towards you. But I'm not going to try to do that on this sidewalk because the markerine, it's harder to get the gradient in there. So these buildings back here would be much lighter than these buildings here and a lot less detail. Now, I'm going to try to I'm going back to that lighter marker, and I'm going to use this fat end, and I'm just going to told you I wasn't going to color this in, but I didn't like it uncolored, so here we are. And you see how when it overlaps, it gets a different color. And you will not be able to get these markerine lines out very easily. I think that's what that blending tool is supposed to do, but to me it just looks terrible. But you can try it, and if you like it, I mean, if you buy some of those and you like it, go ahead and use it. I just find that it frustrates me. And now in this area, this fat is too fat. So I'm going to go ahead and use the skinny side again. And this time I'm going to turn this so that your paper turns. Don't forget that. It's not glued to the table. And I should be using the fat side, but... And I'm not using the tip. I'm using the side of that. If I use the tip, I blunt it. I used to tell my students, stop making the markers cry. With Sharpies as well, don't use the tip, use the side. Only use the tip when you need a precision line. And that goes for the fatter Sharpies, the pinpoint Sharpies, you kind of have to use what you have. Okay, so now for the road, I'm going to go ahead and use the neutral Sharpie. Okay. And since I colored that in, I pretty much have to color this in. Again, I'm using the side of the marker. I'm going to go ahead and use this even though I don't want to. Wow, that looks more like a curb than my curb. And I'm going to put a that line down the middle, I can then break up. They would be wide here. And as it gets closer, they get smaller. Closer, what is that word I'm using? Further away. I can beef up these lines. I'm just kind of eyeballing here. Ooh, that should have been smaller and I made it the same size. Until when it gets over here, they're almost, you know, impossible to see. Just beefing them up a little bit. Technically, these would also get skinnier, but I'm not going to worry about that too much right now. Now, I need to turn my paper again. Whoops! I hope you can see what I'm doing. Now that I have these bumpers, I can fill this in easier. I created a bumper of color so I don't go over. And I'm using the side like a paintbrush. Now, this Bristol paper is marked for dry media, and markers are not dry media. It does go through a little bit, but only if you color really hard, really densely, will it go through the paper underneath. But what I like about it for marker is that it's very smooth. And you can buy, this is the Master's Touch. You can buy better Bristol paper that's A, thicker, and B, you know, will withstand a lot more. One thing you want to remember with marker is that you should always color the same way, and technically I should have gone diagonal, but you should color the direction that it needs, visually needs to go. But the reason I'm doing it sideways is because I can get more of a precision because of the angles that we're looking at here. And because I markered this direction on that, I should marker that direction with every other marker. Oh gosh, my table is full of stuff, I'm sorry. So now I'm doing the other side. I hope you can see what I'm doing. But drawing those little bumpers on there means that I don't accidentally go into the other color unless I'm going too fast and being a little bit careless. So that's helpful. Now, for visual interest, if I'd drawn it before, you know, I could add cars or people on the sidewalks, but I didn't want to get overly complicated on this drawing because I wanted to just concentrate on getting some perspective work done. So I am going to use the colored Sharpies for a lot of the work on the buildings because I have them, and I'm happy because I have more markers. But I'm gonna go ahead and do some marker work with this darker marker. This is the Cool Gray 5, and I should be using the straight edge, I guess, but oh well. And I'm going to use this same thing here. You know, like this is an alleyway between buildings. And because we use the perspective tools, you know, by drawing the lines and everything, it's already smaller than the other one. It's already the same, it's already the right way, the right shape. And if I wanted to, I could put in more over here, but I'm not going to. And because I got this line a little wrong, can't pick up my straight edge there. I'm going to go ahead and draw in the base of these buildings right here. And the separation, I'm just going to line it up with my line and make sure I'm at the top and then I go to the bottom. And markers tend to do that. I have a real hard I have a problem with these because these are more like watercolor markers. They if you have the marker on there a fraction of a second longer than it should be, it'll do that. That one wasn't so bad because I tried to draw it really fast. I'm going to go ahead and put another building in here. And then one down here. These buildings don't have any of those little divots. I could put one in. It's not hard. And I can do that at, you know. These don't all have to be the same height, but they're going to be. Since I made some of these different, I can't just go ahead and draw that line like that. This side is more interesting than that side because of it. This could be one building with glass in the front, and then maybe just like one door. So, you know, you can decide for yourself how you want to handle that. I'll put another little building down here. I'm going to go ahead and make this building taller. Is that the one with the... Make this building taller. So you see what I mean about how you can make things taller. And I had to guess on on that because I hadn't drawn the line yet, so it's probably going to be wrong, and it is. So I'm going to have to make that line longer because I can't erase that line. Which is why I drew these in pencil first. So this building has to go across the back here. Need a pencil. This one here in front, you know, is going to go to that line, but we need the back end of this building right here. I'm going to put it right there. And this line will be straight side to side. And my paper's crooked, so I hope you can see what I'm doing. Right there. So, let's go ahead and draw these lines here. Oh. It's kind of hard to see what you're doing when you have a straight edge. It's kind of why I start getting a little lazy about using the straight edge. But, you know, unless these are old buildings that are falling down, they kind of need to have a little bit of precision to them. But if you're painting or whatever and you just start out without using a ruler and you're eyeballing stuff, because once you get used to the perspective stuff, you know when it doesn't look right, and you know, you can go ahead and double check yourself. Markering is not very forgiving, so you have to, you know, draw it in pencil first. But with paint, if you look at it and go, that doesn't look right, all you have to do is use these tools to check yourself and see if you've got your perspective right, what it is about it that you're finding doesn't work for you. And you know, you can put chimneys on top or all kinds of stuff this way, and I almost never use these tools to draw or paint anymore, but I had a lot of lesson plans, and I've done a lot of practice in doing it, and I still have to go back. Like with that one building, I was like, wait a minute, what am I doing? And I know I'm getting the tips off, but these markers are kind of, they do it very easily. And And I can go back in and, you know, do something to the tops there to kind of minimize that. Oops, minimize that a little bit. So there's my basic buildings drawn. And I liked my idea of making this a glass front building. I'm going to go ahead and turn my paper so that I can use my Sharpie. And again, I'm using just the side of the Sharpie, not the point. And I haven't put any roofs on these buildings yet, and that will cover up some of the dots that pen made. Marker. I didn't put bumpers on here, so I have to be really careful. Now, if I had tried to color all of this with this Sharpie and I used the point, this point would already be dulling, and look, it's still pointy. So don't forget to use the sides. A, you'll cover more area. B, your Sharpie will last longer. And no, I didn't put any doors in yet, because I want them to kind of be like the separations. I think it's just going to be one door. And I put the same marker back in here so that, did I? No. This is a cool gray 50%, it'll be all right. Okay, so I'm gonna put the door right here alongside this. I should learn from my mistakes, right? Okay, so I'm going to put it here. I want it kind of a, maybe a double door. That looks tall enough. No, that was crooked. Sorry, I bumped the camera. So I can barely see my lines. I'm not going to use the ruler to go over these because I won't be able to see it. Wrong side. So I need to be very careful to draw it straight. All right, now we're going to work on this side. And I know I said draw only one direction, but this yellow is so light, and I mean, it's such a skinny marker that I couldn't fill it in going just one direction. This purple looks almost, it's a very dark purple. It looks like it's going to be lilac, but it's not. So if I want there to be a door in here, I have to leave it open already because you won't be able to see it because it's dark, 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 dark. And I can tell by the angle of the roof. I'm just gonna go like that, and it should be right, but when you're learning, you know, you should try to go ahead and check it. And all of this sounds really boring and complicated, and I don't want to do that, and that's not really art. But a lot of times when you're drawing stuff, you're like, why doesn't that look right? Well, I don't understand why it doesn't look right. And you can use these tools to double check yourself. You don't have to use it unless you're, you know, drawing Spider-Man comics or something like that. You know, you don't really need it. So I'm going to use this other purple and color in that door. So that's one of the reasons why I didn't have to be precise, because I was going to go ahead and if you want to put in windows, follow the door, the roof line and this line, and you should be able to get close enough. Is it perfectly right? No. I would have to use my straight edge and just, you know, draw it that way. But, you know, you don't have to constantly be using those. Now it looks weird that the others don't have them, but if I wanted to double check my measurements, it's pretty darn close right there. If I wanted to put a second one on, I could put it right here. You know, if I want to, you know, double check this, pretty darn close, and I can go ahead and put this one on here and then draw the straight lines down. So that's how you would do that. Now it looks like a little face, so I don't know. So, you know, you could go through and put doors and windows and stuff like that on everything. And I don't have any set plan here for what color is going where. This looks like a pink, but it's actually a brown. Well, it's very hard for me to color around the tripod, so sorry. And now that I've started putting in doors and windows, I kind of have to put them in here. And you could add signs and titles and, you know, all kinds of things to these drawings, and you would just use the same tools to help you do that. I'm going to go ahead and use this neutral 60% to go ahead and put in a door here, and I'm gonna put it right here. I stopped talking, didn't I? Forgot that I was filming. I get involved in stuff. So this almost looks like a breezeway goes in there, and you know, you can flesh that out with plants or whatever if you're drawing your own. The roof here looks a little weird to me. Okay, so now I have to strengthen this roof line to make it look the same. Okay, and then this building, I think I want the door on the side. I'm gonna go ahead and stick with this same color for the door. Trying to put it in the middle. It's probably not the middle. Nah, it's pretty close. And I do realize that this doesn't look like a lot. This doesn't look like much, and you know, I'm okay with that. So while I have this in my hand, I'm going to put in a door over here. And a couple of windows. So I'm going to outline this here. And, you know, when you do it fast, there's little white spots. It's hard for me to color that direction. So there's little white spots, and I just go back in and fill them in. It's very easy to blunt the fine tip markers. So I probably shouldn't use it for this big space. But the other one is so dark that I didn't want it next to this other dark building, so that was why I decided to change it. It looks like a Halloween face to me. It's because I didn't take time and do it artfully, because normally with my drawings I'm very precise and very picky about, you know, laying things out and where things go. And so see, the pants kind of stuff isn't me. So like I really want to fill in the rest of that. I really want to fill in the rest of that pink. I'm not going to. Okay, now put this here for the door. Now this one, I would have to use one of the darkest colors or of the gray or black in order to get any doors to show up and windows, unless I left spaces for them. And so I have that door here, and I'm going to very carefully go around it. Again, put bumpers on stuff so that you don't accidentally go over. Now I'm going to take the dark Sharpie and go along here when I'm done, but I wanted it to cover up any of my mistakes, so I didn't do that yet. Okay, I'm going to use the cool gray number 6 on this side against my better judgment. Because these markers, I can't really tell how dark they are, and I think it's going to be, you know, one shade of gray and it's another, and it's just because I'm used to, you know, the percentage marks, and I can tell what color it really is going to be. But one thing you can do is make yourself a little chart when you buy markers like this that are like a grayscale or something like that. Make yourself a little chart of, you know, take a piece of paper and write what the color name is and then mark with it, you know, just a little patch. And that helps you know precisely what color that is, so that you're not surprised the first time you use it. All right, we're getting in the home stretch here. I'm not going to color this guy. Well, I don't want to use skinny marker for the side of a building again, because that pink one, I was like, this was a mistake. But even this door, is probably not a good idea. That looks terrible, doesn't it? I'm sorry. I keep turning everything around. It's probably making it very difficult for you to follow what I'm doing. I'm used to having people physically with me when I'm teaching them how to do something. And I'm not trying to hurry. And because this is a video and I, you know, don't want to walk away from it like that. Okay. I know I already did a purple building, and I did a green building, and I did a round. Okay. I think I'm going to have to just do a gray building. I haven't used this color yet. Cool Gray 5. I'm going to have to go over that with black. Well, that wasn't a very straight line. So this black is going to look, this gray is going to look an awful lot like the gray I used there. It's slightly darker, but it's so close in color that I'm going to have to trim this with black. And I'm not going to the edges for a reason. So I need to trim that up with the fine point marker part. And I'm going to also use black to go on the edges here. So I need to be really careful so I can see where the lines are supposed to go. That's as much as I want to go with that. And this marker set has a black, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. I'm going to go ahead and trim the top too. And I shouldn't be lazy. I should pick this up so I don't draw lines that go all wiggly and woggly. And I already made that line there, so I'm going to have to make this kind of fat, so to make up for what I did there. And that's okay. It's still a little off. I altered the height of this building, so I need to fix this here. Just trying to fix the spots on top. And then I gotta put this line back. And then I did that again. That's what I mean about like trying to be careful, and I wasn't careful. And I skinnied up that other building's edge. In there. So there's ways to fix that, but it would have been better if I had just done it correctly in the first place. My parents have a Spanish saying that they say all the time, the lazy one works double. Yeah, that's very true. So and go precisely on this edge here. And here. And fill this in with exactly the same color, and that's going to have to be the way it is. And it'll be all right. So I'm going to draw this door. We are almost done here. And I just chose perspective, and it's something that I, you know, like you could see I was struggling with certain things here and there. I've done this, you know, for years and years, and, you know, we had classes in art school, and I, you know, read in books, and I still have to check myself. Now, when I'm painting a painting or something like that, I just do what feels right. And um, I expect for you to do that too. But when you can't figure out what is wrong with it, or you do want to do a cityscape, or you do want to do something that requires quite a bit of perspective work, you can have this in your little tool belt of, oh yeah, that's how I do it. And some of the books and stuff that I read about, some of the books and stuff that I read, they made it so confusing, and I hope I didn't do that. And I know that this doesn't have a door on it, but we're gonna go with it. So that's all for this one, and I hope that was helpful. If you would like to see a perspective drawing of a landscape, I can do that. Leave that in the comments. If you found that this was not, it was still too confusing, you can leave that in the comments also. And if there's something else that you would like to learn about how to do, I do a variety of media, not just pencil, not just marker, not just acrylic. So I can maybe do, I mean, I'm not a master at anything, at any of those certainly, but some of them, I mean, I've been painting with acrylics since I was very, very young. But if there's anything else that you would like to see a lesson on, please let me know. And I'll see you again next time. Thank you for listening. And please like and subscribe. Bye.